Hi, I'm Christopher Lennertz, and you are listening to the Movie Raid.
It's time for the Movie Raid, and tonight's victim is film composer Chris Lennertz. Hello.
How are you, Mike?
What's going on?
Nothing. I'm here and ready to chat.
All right. Now, you've done many projects such as Ride Along, countless others, including video games.
Absolutely.
So what's going on recently?
Well, the big one, we got, obviously, Think Like a Man 2 is coming out tonight, so that's a big one. Big cities have it coming out tonight. Everybody else gets it tomorrow night. And it's funnier than the first one, and actually has a big sort of Hollywood romantic ending at the end of it, too. So it's a great date movie, so hopefully people will go and take their significant other. And then, so that one's coming out, and then I just finished my first day of recording sessions for Horrible Bosses 2, which is going to come out in the fall. So I got that one happening, too. We'll be doing quite a bit of recording, including a lot of the same band that was on the first one, including Chris Chaney from Jane's Addiction and Mike McCready from Pearl Jam, Funny Mark from Beastie Boys. A lot of the gang is on that one, this one as well. And then I'm doing another Kevin Hart movie called The Wedding Ringer. Really a fantastic movie with him and Josh Gad, who was Olaf the Snowman, believe it or not, in Frozen. So they're pals, and it's a great buddy movie, and it's also a sort of a fantastic sort of raunchy comedy in probably the style of like old school road trip, that kind of thing. So I think people are really going to like it. It's a different side of both actors.
Nice. And when it comes to the composing part, there's a lot of action-related films when it comes to more dramatic type movements. Do you think it's more of a one-sided thing, or do you think there's going to be much more to it?
Well, I don't know. It depends on what. I think there's a lot of stuff that goes unseen, perhaps, especially in stuff where there's like action comedy, like Ride Along was, or like even at the end of Horrible Bosses and Horrible Bosses 2, there's big action. But then they're also still meant to be funny movies and kind of crazy movies. So for me, it's nice to be able to do a little bit of everything. And I think there's the action stuff is obviously where the music is the biggest and the loudest. But I think the comedy stuff really helps a lot, because if you set the right mood for a comedy, it allows everybody to really have a good time with the movie, too.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes when they have bands that are playing in certain climatic scenes, sometimes it doesn't really match up. It's like, okay, that's cool. I like AC/DC, but it has nothing to do with the scene.
Yeah, exactly. But I love AC/DC, too. Sometimes it's great. You just never know.
Yeah, especially like those cop-related shows, most likely, because you got that da-da-da-da, and it's like, it seems a little bit too cliche. It seems like one-sided. So that's why I was asking. It's like, do you think that's something that should be more tweaked out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we always strive to do the best we can, make it. You want that kind of experience. Like when I look back at when I was growing up, with stuff like Beverly Hills Cop and movies like that. It's like the music just fits the movies, and that's what we always try to do.
And I got a submitted question as well. Vic asks, are film scores digital now?
Yeah, pretty much everything we record is digital. We still use a lot of analog equipment because, in all honesty, I think, especially when you're doing rock stuff and things like that, it sounds a little bit better. We usually use analog preamps and analog EQs and stuff to sort of make the sound really rich. Analog is very rich. But then digital, at the end of the day, we always go digital just because it's very easy to manipulate, and it all gets transferred onto the film in the highest quality possible.
Especially in this case, because you can polish it up, make it sound nice, but also a little bit old school is good too. You can never eliminate that at all.
Exactly.
Do you think when it comes to composing, you think it's more about using your ears, or do you think it's about the whole mystery, paint a picture?
I definitely think, I think it's a lot about the ears. I think it's a lot about knowing, the whole point of composing for movies and TV and things like that is to make help the audience feel something. And so part of it really has to do with drama and making sure that, if they're meant to feel sad or scared or tense, you have to, go with what as a composer to bring out that emotion. So I think it's very visceral. It's really drama-based. And that's sort of my first inclination, is to go that route rather than try to get it being real, analytical or anything like that. I think it's not science. I think it's definitely emotion and feeling. And
you certainly don't have to be all political about it either, because that ends, even though it's not political, but it has that political scenario when doing this, because of course you got your markets, you've got your big time studios and this, so it can be a lot of pressure on you.
Oh yeah, no, and you got a lot of people to please. The the bigger the movie, when you get to a big movie like Marble Bosses or something like that, you know, you can have 15 producers. So you got to make sure that everybody's happy. You got to make sure your director's happy, and then you got to make sure that the movie works. So you know, a lot of that is just sort of making sure that you take everybody's thoughts into account, and then sort of filter them all through talent or through your your experience, and then come up with the best thing that sort of pleases everybody. And you know, and hopefully I'm able to do that.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you worked in as far as television goes. Is it a lot more manageable working compared to film, or is it a little bit more limited and restricted what you have to do?
Well, it's a little more limited budget-wise, but it's a lot more limited time-wise. There's a lot of stuff that gets done very fast in television. That's probably the hardest part about doing TV. Is if you gotta fly, you gotta write really really fast. So you put on a show every single week. So TV is pretty tough. You know, I would say film is a movie or is a normal rate, and you know, and I'd say video games are a marathon because they last really long and there's a lot of music. And I would say TV is a sprint. You know, that's the thing where you just go as fast as you can, as hard as you can, and then you're done. So you know, there's both good and bad news to that. Well, you know, the good news is you get things done and you don't have a lot of time to second guess yourself, but you also have to really move quick.
Yeah, and when it comes to video games, is it easier for video games, or do you think it's more of a challenge compared to television and film?
You know what? I don't think it's either. I think it's about the same. I think in some ways it's a little easier because, like I said, the time is available to maybe take it a little bit more creatively. And then I think the other thing that's really nice about video games is that you're kind of counted on to tell the story a little bit more because they don't have all the dialogue that movies and TV have to tell the story. So there's a little bit of a freedom to video games, which is very, very nice. But then at the same time, you also have to make sure that you're able to write something that will work no matter what level the player is. So if the player is really great and he's flying through something, it has to be able to function in one way. And then if the player's not so good, it's the first time playing the game, playing real slow, keeps getting killed, you know, then it's a whole different ballgame. You got to make sure that you've written music that can handle either situation.
Everything, just like acting, it's all about how it's reacted, what the situation is, everything about it, every little detail. But I mean, it can be very pressurized, or it all just depends how it goes.
Exactly. There's a big goal in terms of like creating something that people absolutely can recognize as being iconic, and it's tough to do in any genre.
Have you ever worked with your own films, or actually thought about maybe going into your own company for you can write your own music specifically for like independent films?
Well, I definitely have done independent films, but as far as doing something I would necessarily write or direct on my own, you know, I think the big thing for me is I love to tell stories with people. So I think I would consider definitely writing, especially if I was doing something maybe animated or something like that. I would definitely consider, you know, sort of writing the story, but being a director is a whole another sort of talent set. And I know a lot of really great directors who know what they're doing, and I would definitely want one of them to take the director's chair on it and make the movie, and then I'll write them the music.
Well, what do you think about when your music hits the internet, though?
I think there's pros and cons to how quickly things move now as far as information, and I think, you know, in one sense, it allows a lot more people to hear my music, which is great. But it also, you know, it's sort of gotten the message across that music's free and it doesn't cost anything, and that unfortunately can come back and bite you, you know, as especially in terms of pop music, because if there's no one's paying for music and the companies all go under, then unfortunately you're going to start, you know, stop hearing music because no one's going to be able to actually make a living doing it, because a lot of the great, if Led Zeppelin didn't get played or didn't get paid, then they probably, they may not have ever made the second record, and I think as a society we're going to be sorry if we don't, I don't think, I get the idea that people don't need to be, drowning in money and driving yachts all over the place, but at the same time, if people can't actually get the opportunity to even record their music or get it out there or make a living playing music and recording music, there's going to be a lot of really talented people who don't get a chance to let the world hear what they can do. As a society, that's going to hurt us.
Oh yeah, it's just like it's an old issue, but this issue is going to be endless upon endless, from millennium upon millennium. Just doesn't seem there's no real solution other than just shut the internet down.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
No.
Oh, yeah, no, there's no way.
I mean, for especially composing wise, it's you can put your music up there on the internet, but it's so much easier to easily get ripped off because they can just easily change the name and stick it somewhere else, and then sell for like what, $5?
Or for nothing. I mean, it's all pretty much free now, which, you know, most people are just grabbing it off some sort of BitTorrent site or whatever. And you know, and like I said, in one sense, I appreciate the fact that people want to listen to it, and that's great. But I also think that, you know, that it's important to put value on people spending their time and their energy and their talent on creating things for people to enjoy.
If they buy something off from one of your pieces, you can put that money back into making something new.
Right, exactly. Well, that's the key right there. Is if you stop the cycle, and there's no income coming in, people are going to stop creating because they won't have time or the ability to record it, and then you're going to end up with a pretty barren wasteland and no really great new music or movies or art or anything.
Have you ever been cautious about that when it comes to companies, though?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to do your best, but I do think that it's sort of swimming upstream a little bit. I think the big studios are doing their best to try to police it somewhat, but you know, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. There's you know, every time you get one site and take it down, there's going to be another one. So it's a pretty tough battle. It's a lot of work, and I don't think I'm not sure there's a way to succeed in all of it. The best thing to do is if people can find a way to monetize it as it is, to make it, you know, I think, you know, iTunes did it somewhat, where you make it easy, you make it's not free, but it's also not expensive. You know, that's ideally the way to go.
Yeah, and usually there's a whole, you know, the safe way. It's like you don't have to be, you know, so fragile about it. It's like you can still make money off of it without actually just ripping them off, even if it's just like one song or one piece. Like, even if it's a teaser or whatever.
Well, that's the thing. I think the idea of teasers and you know, and sort of giveaways is good. I think the idea of saying, hey, here's some of the record. If you like it, then buy the rest of it, or go see it live, or go see the movie. I think here's, you know, here's the big single for the soundtrack. You can have it for free, but if you like it, go buy the ticket and go see the movie. And I think it's a great way to get everybody, let everybody win.
Oh yeah. It's like, or even just have like the one song that's not even on the record. It's only in the film until they actually buy the full version of the record.
Right. Oh yeah, no, that's a great call.
It's a huge risk now between, of course, with actors and directors and stuff. But when a movie-wise, especially music, it all depends on the marketing and the promotion. And if it bombs, it could kind of hurt you in a way, and may not get a whole lot of sales for you, even though if you have, you know, your rights to your own music and you have it on your site and stuff.
Yeah, no, if the movie goes under, it's pretty much a loss.
Well, yeah, it's like you have to solely rely on that movie. It's like, I hope this works.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you've basically learned from what you do? Is anything you want to share to those that want to break into this?
I think the best thing for somebody who wants to become a composer, besides obviously needing to know how to write music and needing to have an appreciation for music, is really get out there and meet directors. And that's, you know, by going to whether it be college or film school or, you know, or even film festivals, do that kind of thing. Meet your young directors. Meet the guy who's going to be the next Steven Spielberg or the next Steven Soderbergh. And those guys are going to be the people that you work with and make great movies with. And I think that's, I've been lucky to meet a lot of great young filmmakers and get a chance to keep working with them. So I think that's my biggest piece of advice.
It's all just, like I said, it depends where you go. Everyone wants to say that, oh, just go to California. That's the main place. You don't actually have to go to California. It is a sole base, yes, but there's always an option.
Yeah. Oh, you can be creative anywhere.
You never know. There is no limit to this. You just have to keep at it. It all depends where you go.
Yep. I couldn't agree more.
Of course, you could always get either screwed or you get praised. That all depends on what you do.
Yep, I agree. I totally agree.
Well, go ahead and plug in any addresses or anything that you want to just plug in out there. Anything any advice, anything else like that.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think the first thing I got to plug is go see Think Like a Man 2 this weekend, and then come see Horrible Bosses in the fall, and then you know, and then the big thing. If you want to hear some more of my music, you can certainly go to my website, which is just ChristopherLennertz.com. I'm also on SoundCloud, Facebook, and all that good stuff, and Twitter. Just see Lennertz at my Twitter handle, and that's it. Come hang out, listen to my music. Hope you like it, and go see the movies. They're all really great films coming out. Lots of fun. So thanks for being a part of it.
Oh yeah, Christopher Lennertz